Greetings, community. It's Kevin of NCBD Comics, and I'm here to bring you another edition of Kevin's Most Anticipated Reads. Tomorrow, new comic book day, 2/15/2023. We're moving right down the road with the whole months of stuff, and yeah. And if you're seeing this on Valentine's Day, well, happy VD to you. Get it checked out. Seriously. It's getting kind of gross. All right. This week's kind of quick. So, again, it's Valentine's Day. So let's get to it, and I'll give you a towel right after. Moving on, we're going to start over with Frank Miller, Pandora, issue number 2. I've been digging this. Ever since K-M.A.R.T, did I say Clark? K-M.A.R.T, uh, did not have her Inkblot issue keeps continuing. I've been missing her stuff. So this brings me right back to that fantasy world of Inkblot, and I'm digging it. Pandora, it's been pretty cool as an introduction, so that's why issue number 2 is pretty high on my most anticipated reads for tomorrow. Moving out from that Frank Miller's Pandora issue number 2, we're going to cruise over to Frank Miller's Ronin, series 2, issue 2. I think my tongue is going to just riot after this. I thought issue number 1 was enjoyable. I'm definitely in for the long haul on this. There's not a whole lot of issues involved. I enjoyed it. Thought it was cool. So that's why it's up there on my most anticipated reads. Moving out from Frank Miller's Presents, we're going to cruise over to Image Comics. And we're going to talk about Torrent, issue number 1. When I first saw this, I really thought that the colors and the structure and the formatting for this book was really interesting, and it really caught my eye. So that's why it's on my most anticipated read for tomorrow. One of which it's really high, and it almost made that, but just got edged out. So Torrent, issue number 1, comes out tomorrow for 2/15/2023. Moving out from Torrent, we're going to cruise over to The Last Barbarian, issue number 1. I'm only reading one Barbarian series right now, and that's Barbaric. It's here, then it's there, and it's a little bit everywhere when it comes in and out of the series. So, you don't have anything ongoing. So I want to read something. I don't read Conan. It's not, I don't know. I think The Last Barbarian, it would be more my style. It's a little pretty hardcore. So coming out, like I said, from Image Comics, The Last Barbarian, issue number 1. Cruises out tomorrow. Cruising out from The Last Barbarian, we're going to talk about Nightclub, issue number 3. When 3 friends get bit by vampires, which 2 of which were bit by the same vampire, which was their friend, they decide to go ahead and be superheroes. As angsty and kids are, why conform to what vampires normally do? Let's go ahead and do something worthwhile with what they got. So that's why Nightclub, issue number 3, is up there on my most anticipated reads. Moving out from Nightclub, we're going to talk about Art Brut, issue number 3. This stuff's pretty cool, man. Art Brut, the beauty about that series and the art and the storytelling is you go ahead and get an acid trip without the hangover. It's pretty wild. That's why it's up there on my most anticipated reads. I'm digging it. This is a fun adventure. I'm just enjoying the ride, sitting back and letting the mind flow. Art Brut, number 3. Cruising out from Art Brut, we're going to talk about What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue number 11. This is not a very consistent book. I would say on average it releases about every, 5.5 weeks. Go figure that number. The beauty about this book is when you jump back into it, it's pretty easy to find your way back, meaning it's not that difficult to remember where you were and where it's going. It's kind of a Lord of the Flies type thing. It's pretty neat. It's somewhat, unique in the sense that it's every time there's something happen, I don't expect it. So that's why it's been up there in my most anticipated reads almost every time it comes out. All right, enough of that. We're going to move out from Image. We're going to talk over there at the Marvel scene. Marvel is throwing out a few books this week that I've actually been looking forward to, one of which is this one, Nightcrawlers. I'm not big on the Krakoa thing. I'm not reading any of the X-Men thing. However, This seems really interesting. I want to see what's happening with all these hybrids, and I'm just along for the ride of seeing what kind of new characters come out. So that's why it's on one of my most anticipated reads for tomorrow. Now, over from Nightcrawlers issue number 1, we're going to talk about Hulk number 12. This is ramping up to be interesting, man. This whole thing, and then we're going to go ahead and see Titan Cruise back out, and what's been happening on the game that they did on the whole, what was that, World Ball, and that was cool. I don't know. I like stuff like that. It's, I don't know. Doesn't always have to sit there and define some meaning in life. Sometimes it's just a fun story. I don't know. All right. Hulk number 12 coming out tomorrow. It's fun. It's real. It's the Incredible Hulk. Really immortal something. Starship? I don't know. Hulk 12. Moving on from the Hulk, we're going to talk about Mary Jane and Black Cat issue number 3. I'm a huge Black Cat fan. The fact that they're throwing Mary Jane in there for the second time in, I don't know, what was it, past 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. I've been digging it. I've been, whatever. I'll take whatever I can get as far as a Black Cat story. And you're going to throw Mary Jane in there? Better. Now that we're talking about a story that's kind of the aftermath of the dark web, but still some of the remnants of what's been transpiring from it that they still have to contend with before they get out of, I'm not going to totally ruin it all. Um, I'm curious. It's, they're in some stuff, man. So I want to know what the hell's going to happen. So that's why issue number 3 is pretty high up there on my list. Talking about Spider-Man number 5. This whole Dan Slott thing with the end of the Spider-Verse and stuff, this has also been interesting. There's been some wild stuff happening. People have been getting jacked, man. So Spider-Man 5 has been cool. I mean, not cool. Well, I did read some of it. It's Tuesday, but it was only teaser pieces. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's supposed to happen. I'm digging it. So that's why issue number 5 is pretty high up there. We're going to cruise out from Marvel. We're going to talk over at the Dynamite side. And this is a book that I talk about ever since issue number 1, which is Cherish. Cherish issue number 4. Cherish is awesome. It almost gives me an Eon Flux type feeling. It's something that I believe should be in, I think I've said this before, as an animation. It can kind of be that PG-13, but I prefer PG-18. Just saying. Did I say PG-18? How do you do that? PG-17? There's something like that NC-17 type thing. I think it would work there. Just saying. Cherish, issue number 4. Out of Dynamite, over to Boom. Boom Studios gives us Grimm, issue number 8. This is another one I've been talking about ever since issue number 1. I love Grimm. From 5 and 6, a little bit of touch on 7, but 5 and 6 definitely was giving us more background of what's been going on, how things work, and all that. I've been liking that. It slowed it up just a little bit because it was moving fast in the first 3 issues, and for some, they weren't buying into it. I think it was on issue 4 that people are like, "Hey, okay, I get it." So that's why issue number 8 that's happening tomorrow, 2/15, 2023. It's pretty up there on my list. Issue 7 was pretty badass. All right. However, what we're really here to talk about, well, you know it, is the Blue Light Special. This week's Blue Light Special is Dark Horse's White Savior, issue number 2. I was first introduced to this book story about 3 years ago. It was given to me by Christy Shin. Christy turned me on the story from her buddy, Eric Nguyen. This is a weird story and pretty funny, especially how it ends on issue number 1. You're like, oh, sheesh, we're screwed. So that's why issue number 2 is pretty high on my list. I have it read issue number 1 and halfway through issue number 2 3 years ago. I never got to read all the way through issue number 2. That's why it's pretty and high, because it's my Blue Light Special, up there on my list for my most anticipated reads. But that's it for me, Entropy. Thank you for watching. Take care.